There's been some talk recently about rescheduling, possibly rescheduling THC as a Schedule 3 drug. How would that change or help overcome some of these challenges that you're facing?
It's a really good question. We talk about this a lot. I think a lot of the conversation is about rescheduling cannabis, and I'm intrigued to hear you say rescheduling THC because that's always been one of my big question marks in these conversations is what exactly are they going to reschedule? Every other drug that is FDA approved or scheduled other than Schedule 1, it's typically a particular molecular compound that's scheduled. It's not an entire plant, which there's over 100 cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. So when you talk about rescheduling cannabis, what does that really mean? But if you're talking THC specifically, I don't know that it's really going to change things in terms of our recruitment challenges. People will still have access at the state level to things. I don't think that access is going to expand necessarily because in order for a clinician to prescribe even a lower than Schedule 1, like a Schedule 2 through 5 drug, they have to have that drug has to be approved by the FDA. I can't prescribe something that doesn't have an approved FDA indication. And so until there is a THC that has the same formulation and provenance as what I'm prescribing to the patient, approved at the FDA level, there's really nothing for me to prescribe. So dronabinol exists right now, and that's a synthetic form of THC, and I can prescribe that all I want. But for me to try to prescribe somebody a plant material or even an extract that's formulated differently, even if it were Schedule 3, that doesn't change for me right now. What it does change on the research side of things is potentially expanding opportunities for development of those drugs. So, as Emily alluded to, there have already been changes in terms of the farms and facilities that can grow and source cannabis for research purposes. So, that has happened on paper in terms of how many new sources of cannabis for research are truly accessible for investigators. It's still pretty limited. And if it were Schedule 3, that may expand because what it really changes is a lot of the rules and regulations around the storage and transportation of those products. The other thing that would be different for us, right now with it being Schedule 1, we can't dispense that product to our participants through the standard research pharmacy that most other clinical trials use. We have to have a dedicated pharmacist for our Schedule 1 studies. And as Emily said, this crazy Schedule 1 secure facility to store those products. If it were Schedule 3, that becomes a lot less burdensome for places that don't, institutions that don't already have all of that security in place. They no longer need it. They can use the same protocols that they would use for other studies of Schedule 2 or Schedule 3 or other scheduled drugs to store and dispense their study drug. So that would definitely simplify both like from an infrastructure level as well as a staffing level, the ability to do those studies.
On the flip side, though, in terms of FDA, even if you're doing a clinical trial, it doesn't matter if it's Schedule 1 or which schedule it is, you're going to have to apply to the FDA for an investigational new drug application when you do these studies, which is it's a big amount of work that you have to do to put these applications together and then maintain them over time. So that wouldn't change,
Mhm.
which is one of the big hoops that we have to jump through for doing clinical trials.